I did not realize it until they kept saying it during the game that Porzingis only played 25 games last year, which is to say that team that was statistically one of the greatest teams of all time was doing that with its most talented player, not necessarily best, but I think their most talented player, only playing 25 games through the course of the year. And they just keep doing this. I don't like staying around and shoot threes all the time basketball. However, I don't know what the Knicks were supposed to do. I could not come up with any assessment of the Knicks based on that game because I don't think it would have mattered if the Knicks had 6 people on the floor.
I agree with you. And I think, so here's my one thing though, because you're now the second person in media that I've heard say, I don't like all that standing around threes. Even when they making them, because they was cash.
Don't like it.
Beautiful.
Don't like it.
Really?
Don't like it. I mean, I like the ball movement, I guess, is cool, but I think there are changes that need to be made to the game. I like watching guys attack the basket. I like seeing dudes go to the rack. I enjoy a good mid-range game. I understand why teams don't do it because of the math, right? So I feel like there's some changes that need to be made. But, I mean, nah, man, I don't know, to answer your question. That's not my bag.
If I'm ever going to watch a team stand around and shoot threes, it would be the Celtics. Because if you unpack the threes that they got, no, they weren't attacking the rim per se. But there was a primary pick and roll in the paint, creating major scramble and chaos for the Knicks.
Fair.
The ball was moving. At one point in the game, I think they had hit 21 threes that had 24 assists. It was some wonky, crazy math stat. So there was a lot to enjoy, I think, in terms of team basketball.
I see that.
Besides the fact that nobody was getting to the paint. But whatever, go ahead.
Yeah, I see that. I'd rather watch Jaylen Brown dunk on people. That's me.
That's spectacular too.
I'm in that space. Now, let me ask you this about the Knicks and watching it. Number one, what is the concern for whatever happened to Mikal Bridges' jump shot? I can't tell if it's just aesthetic or if it's going to have an actual effect on how many of those shots he makes, but all of a sudden it looks like something changed.
Yeah, I've been watching that too. I don't remember his above-the-shoulder form being quite that extended. But what I will say, if you're going to tinker with your shot, you got to stick with it, right? And so if that's what he's going to do this season, fine. To me, it actually looked like he needed to get more lift from his lower body, and he started to do that in the second half. I think he'll figure it out in terms of his follow-through and stuff. It looks a little funky to me, but again, like, now's the time. Make up your mind. Is this what you're rolling with for the season or not? Because to keep tinkering with it over the course of a season is a really tough formula. You don't make an adjustment like that game to game at all. So we're going to have to roll with it. I think he's only going to build confidence in it the more he sticks with it and sees success. In the second half, he actually shot the ball decently, right? But I think that is not – that's like fourth maybe on my list of things to address for the Knicks right now.
If you were Tom Thibodeau, how worried would you be about the fact that your new addition is 7 feet tall and allows Drew Holiday to guard him?
There were a couple plays, actually, I thought Cat played big and did take advantage of his size. He had a Patrick Ewing-esque cross-the-lane hook shot situation last night, which was cool. Here's my thing. This was game one, bro. Like, it was game one. Cat got traded right before training camp. Mikal's still figuring it out. I often, and I thought about this last night, because I have said this at large, I struggle to believe in year one with big-time adjustments anyway, but particularly game one. Right? There's not been an established, this is how you are most effective in this system. The bigger thing to me, outside of the offense, is that Cat is not the same sort of rim projector that Isaiah Hartenstein or Mitchell Robinson was. As much as you might have griped about those guys offensively, they were going to anchor that defense in a way that now this defense looks very different to me. And so you go from a 5-out team in Boston to a similar 5-out team in Indiana on Friday. These two tests stand the opportunity to really expose you early on. But again, it's games 1 and game 2. And we asked pregame and Coach Tibbs was like, look, everything is being evaluated. What did we do well? What have we not done well? And yes, hopefully a team don't shoot 47% and hit 29 threes through the course of a regular season. But there was a lot. It's crazy. But there was a lot for the Knicks to like learn from that game.
It was because, again, whatever their final percentage is, in fact, let me look this up to make sure I got it right. The Celtics finished the game at 48% from three. That's after they missed 13 straight. They were really 29 for 48.
I was going to say, through 3 quarters, they were closer to 60. It was unreal. Like, I'm texting. Well, my terrific radio partner, Tyler Murray, it's obviously a point of emphasis. It was my first key to the game, defending the 3-point line. At halftime, you're like, sure, they're not going to do this again. They're not. My husband literally was like, I bet you they won't do this again. I'm like, okay. And they did. Like, I think, too, what stood out to me, championship hangover, not at all. And I think the same thing that Joe Mazzulla kind of got crushed for at points in the previous 2 seasons, sort of being incessant and fine-tuned and like hyper-vigilant, right, is perfect for a team stepping into a season looking to defend their crown. The last thing Jason Tatum said before we went to the game at the end of the banner ceremony was, let's do it again. And I think that team is very serious and very poised to potentially do it again.
I'm trying to figure out who is it that's supposed to beat them?
Yeah.
That's my question. I don't have it. The closest thing I got to an answer for that is the Thunder coming out of the West, just because they have and they might be good forever. They got players and they got picks. Like they are terrifying. But I love Denver, but is Jamal Murray on the downhill, and what kind of physical performance can you get out of Michael Porter? Like, I think these are things that we learned last year. These are the questions we're going to have about them. But in the East, everybody made their moves. The Knicks went and got Carl. Philadelphia went and got Paul George. I mean, Milwaukee made their moves last year, but they still made their move to go get Dame. And I don't feel like anybody's in the same zone as them right now.
We got to play the games. That's the beauty of sport. But I think that's fair right now. Like, they are in a class of their own.
Shooting all those threes. And they mad. Like, everybody would have disrespected them. I get tired of people saying they've been disrespected, except for Derek White. Derek White can't say nobody disrespected him. But the other 2 boys, they got legitimate beef.
I look at Tyler at one point and I'm like, yo, like, this is unreal. Because there's a couple things that blow your mind in that game, right? It's like, Knicks hang their hat on defense. They were top 10 in defensive and offensive efficiency. Mind you, Boston was top 4 in defensive and offensive efficiency last season. Like, you have this in your head about who the Knicks are. You talk to them in advance of the game and they're saying all the right things. Like, you have these stats. And even if you look at it, I think OG Anunoby still managed to defend Jason Tatum the best in the 3 times that he was his primary defender. But, like, you have these pieces that are defenders, and then it's just like a pure offensive clinic. And the Knicks actually shot better than 50% from 2. Like, it was
right.
It was so, like, mind-numbing. And so then you get to the 4th quarter and you're like, okay, well, the Knicks get to see what the reinforcements look like, because that's what it becomes.
This is going to be something, right? Like, I mentioned the thing with Carl and being guarded by Jrue Holiday just because you've been working in this city long enough. You know what the people here like, and they don't like stuff like that.
You got to flush that one. You just got to flush that one.
Yeah, like that game, it's just like, what of 82? What of 82, right? You go, you say that, and you keep it moving, certainly. I just want to see, like, with the changes they made, because those are chemical changes. Those aren't just physical changes. They didn't just switch out people. You switch out the whole dynamic, and what they had last year was a great dynamic. I was looking at that lineup, and at times, I'm looking at Josh Hart, and I'm like, actually, homie, it's time for you to fall back again. Like you did, thank you for your service last year, but for this team to be what it is, he's got to be like option 4.
I hear you on that. I don't know what to take from last night, because and to be honest, he was one of the few guys that started to get straight to the rim, right? For the Knicks, when they were at least keeping pace a little bit. And do you need that level of aggression? Because he's going to have to keep defenses honest, right? And backside of the season, he was shooting a 3 decently, actually pretty well during the playoff stretch. There was a lot. There's a lot to dissect. I'm not going to watch that again, I'll be honest, but there was a lot.
The NFL is back in full swing, which means you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite teams only on Prize Picks. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.